if we roll down streets of fire.
Here's some of them.
Yeah, I think I saw the list. They emailed it to me.
Okay.
That's awesome. Taj Mahal, how was that?
Oh, he was awesome.
I bet. Pretty talented. That's awesome. Vanilla Ice too.
Oh, wait, he did a really cool tag. He like started like rapping.
Oh, really?
Okay, so hey everyone, this is Pavlina from Pavlina's Kidz Plays. I'm on location at the House of Blues in Orlando with country music singer, songwriter, and multi-platinum recording artist Josh Turner. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, good. So growing up in South Carolina and singing in church choirs, is that like the first when you first started singing, and were like people in like your church encouraging you to go to Nashville?
That is the first place I started singing, and yes, my church family was very encouraging and supportive of me and my talent, and I owe a lot of my success to them and their encouragement, and just them just continuing to just kind of nurture my talent and my dream to be a country singer, and think outside the box and get outside of my comfort zone. So yeah, it always helps when you have people surrounding you like that encourage you and support you, in your pursuit of your dreams.
Thanks. Okay, good. So I asked Jake Owens, like, if you could write a song, like a song title of when you first got to Nashville, what would like your song title be? And he called it "I've Got a Lot to Learn." So what would you call your song title when you first got to Nashville?
Probably Scared to Death. Because that's exactly what I was. I was scared to death. I didn't know anybody there. It was the first time I had truly moved away from home. And so yeah, just dealing with that freedom, the new surroundings, new people, knowing that I had a mission to accomplish was it was pretty scary. So yeah, I was scared to death, and that probably be an appropriate title for the song.
Yes. Well, kids have all kinds of obstacles growing up. What obstacle did you have, and how did you overcome it?
I guess my biggest obstacle came when back in 1996, when I almost lost my voice. I had basically developed a lesion on my right vocal cord and had to go to Nashville to the Vanderbilt Voice Clinic and receive treatment there. Luckily I didn't have to have surgery, but I went through a lot of rehabilitation, had to go through a lot of vocal training, and just learning how to take care of my voice, how to rest my voice, and just maintain it and use it properly. And I had a lot of that required me learning the anatomy of the voice and how it's made up, what it requires, and what's bad for it, what's good for it. So that was a pretty trying time for me, because I literally thought that I'd never be able to sing again.
Okay. So what was it like singing at the Grand Ole Opry the first time?
It was an incredible night. It was a night to remember for me. First of all, it was a blessing, period, for me to even be invited to play on that stage, because at the time I had only had a record deal for maybe a month, if that, and so like I say, it was quite an honor to be asked to be on that stage. When I got out there and performed my song "Along Black Train," the crowd gave me 2 standing ovations and an encore, and it was just one of those nights that people are still talking about, and it really made a huge impression on the management there at the Opry, and the members of the Opry, and everybody there that make the Opry what it is. So it was an incredible night, and it was one of those moments that really kind of helped me get my foot in the door.
Nice. Okay. So and like 100, like you performed that like 100 times, right?
Over 100 times.
Yeah. Nice. So and you're one of the youngest members. Is that like the coolest place to be for you?
Definitely one of the coolest. I mean, as far as country music institutions and venues, that's by far the venue to play at, and it's an honor to be a member there. because not only am I a member there, but I feel like a member of a family, and that's the way they treat you. And so it's great to be a part of that family. It's great to be on that stage. The crowds are always great. So yeah, the Grand Ole Opry is definitely one of the best places I've ever played.
Awesome. Okay. So, what's the best advice that you've ever gotten, and who's it from?
I guess the best advice I ever got was from a country singer, a fellow country singer named Daryl Singletary. It was back when I was still in high school, and I had gone to see him and George Jones play a concert in my hometown. And I got to meet Daryl after the show and basically asked him what kind of advice he could give me. And he told me to move to where the music is, move to Nashville. And I had never really, I thought about that, but I'd never really given that any serious thought. And so it just made sense because at that time I was young, I was naive. I just assumed that, if I kept singing around home, some record executive would show up at my door and say, hey, here's a record deal. And that's just not the way it happens. So that was the best advice I got, was the fact that I needed to take my talent to Nashville and pursue it, seriously.
Nice. Okay. So, your song "The Answer" is a powerful song. Do you think like you're strong with like spiritual songs because you grew up singing as in the church as a kid?
That's definitely a huge part of it. But just because you grow up in a church doesn't mean that you're going to grow up and live a healthy lifestyle or a Christian lifestyle, and believe in Jesus. There's a lot of people who grew up in church that don't live that way now, unfortunately. But yeah, that was a huge part of my faith, was the fact that I had a good, solid foundation, in my family and in my church, and that, and obviously my personal relationship with the Lord is the biggest reason why I write songs like The Answer, Wave and Praise, Long Black Train, all those gospel songs that I write. And that's a huge part of my repertoire. It's a huge part of who I am. I want my fans to see that part of me too.
Okay. So, what's your favorite song to sing to your kids?
That's a good question. Normally, I don't necessarily have a favorite per se, but one that always seems to put them to sleep is actually my favorite hymn, and it's called "Without Him." I just grew to love that song from an early age, and just that when no other song works, that's the one that seems to put them to sleep. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pavlina.
Would you go with me